and entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
Anytime somebody cease and desist me, I post it right away. Because if you're sending me a cease and desist, you're a pussy. You're not actually going to file. If I'm going to sue you, I'm filing. I'm not fucking cease and desist, not nothing. I'm not telling you, you're not going to know I'm filing. I'm going to file somewhere that's uncomfortable for you, and we're just going to file.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Creatures of Habit podcast. I have a guest for you today that is going to rock your world. A lot of you, I'm sure, know who he is. He goes by Goob online. His name is John Dorsey. He is a coach for elite athletes, bodybuilding, fitness coach, nutrition coach. He's also a lawyer, but what he's done over the last, how long has it been now since you've been sort of investigating?
A little over a year.
A little bit over a year. He's been really investigating people within the fitness industry who are predators, who are really, really painting this ugly, dark, nasty image of what the fitness industry is. And at the core of what he's trying to do, he ultimately is trying to make it a safe place for us to all be a part of this industry that really helps people be better. And there's a lot of people that predicate on those in the world of fitness, whether it's fitness coaches that are totally aggressive and are predators with their clients, whether it is just athletes in general that have pasts that are really, really undesirable and gnarly and nasty that nobody knows about, and they're charging people to coach them and teach them, but they're actually pedophiles and sexual abusers. It's really, really interesting what he's doing, and I learned about John when I was at a fitness event about 6 months ago. Someone said to me, "Hey, have you heard about Goob?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And he was like, "Go check this dude out." And I checked him out, and he's essentially like debunking like supplement companies that are putting out absolute garbage, that are lying to you about what the fuck is in the stuff. Like, just it is such great content. I had to have him on the show, so he agreed to come on the show, and I'm really, really excited to have him. John, welcome.
Sir, thank you so much. Appreciate you for having me.
So when I asked you to be on the show, you said, I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know shit. I just want to show up.
When people invite me to their podcast, I don't know what it is. It's going to get me in trouble one of these days, where it's going to be like, yo, we're investigating you, actually. Here's your shit. But today, hopefully not. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not investigating you. I am in some way, but not in the way that it's going to get you in trouble.
Not like my investigation.
Yeah, not like your investigation. We're not outing you. I didn't find out any dirt on you, although I'm sure there is. There's dirt on everyone. But really, the Creatures of Habit podcast is a podcast where I get to meet people that have inspired me and others in regards to their habits, rituals, and routines. Shit that they do on a regular basis to help them stay focused.
Amazing.
And really sort of look at, when we hear the word habit, a lot of us think about smoking cigarettes, pushing snooze, eating too much shit, not working out, when I think of the word habit, I think of all the good shit that has made me the guy I am today, because I was a drug addict and an alcoholic for 11 years of my life. My habits almost killed me. When I replaced my bad habits with good ones, for the last 19 years or so, I've been living this fucking epic life. And it's all because of the decisions that I make on a consistent basis, also known as habits. So typically what I like to do is get people on the show and have them walk me through their morning routine, their evening routine, a few habits that they do throughout the day to keep them fucking focused, fired up, and on their game. And a habit or two that they've broken, how they broke it. So I would love to hear that from you as well, because you're a super successful coach, and you're also really fucking strong. Like, you're like abnormally strong. You're a strong son of a bitch. Like, anybody who watches what you're able to pick up off the ground, put over your head, put over your chest, like, you're a strong dude. And so I would love to hear some habits in regards to that. So fitness habits, nutrition habits I would love to get from you, stuff that like the person who's listening to this podcast could really take with them and say, okay, I'm going to start doing that and potentially get this result. But why don't you just introduce yourself first before we get into that?
So I'm John Dorsey, better known as Goob U on the internet. I have a law degree. I went to the University of Pittsburgh School of Law, and I regularly crack pedophiles on the internet.
Love that.
I guess that's me. But yeah, I coach guys. I got a roster of about 100 guys right now. I have anywhere from lifestyle people to some competitors and that type of thing. I've been in the industry since probably 2015. I've been coaching in some way. I took full-time coaching in 2018, which was coincidentally the year I graduated law school. And I said, which way am I going to go with this? And I chose coaching because it actually was paying me something when law school was kind of like you want to take a shitty job and like maybe in 6 years make something out of yourself. And that wasn't it for me because I guess we're 6 years on and I wouldn't be happy yet. But I'm already happy. I've been happy for like 5-6 years. So, we're good.
One thing that I want to share too for those that are listening that don't know this about me, one of the things that really drew me to your content was I suffered from a pedophile from sexual abuse as a kid, probably from like 8 to 10 years old. I was sexually abused by my sports coach. And, I still don't know exactly how it impacted me. It's still kind of like a weird.
It's life though, right? Your whole life.
Oh yeah, it's always
your
there.
Whole life.
It's always there. It's always something that like if I have a weird emotional response to something, I always question, could it be because of that?
Yeah, and that's a lot of the thing. A lot of the things they do is there are guys and women that have gotten away with it that nobody ever got them, or ones that were punished by the legal system. And that was fine, and they just kept going, and they just kept rolling. I did a guy I collect knives. And so there's this weird crossover between like the fitness and the knife world sometimes. And this is a guy who's in the knife world who 2012 took advantage of a little kid, changed his name on all of his social media platforms, created a business, integrated himself in the knife world. He's making logos and stuff for friends of mine that have big companies that wouldn't fuck with a pedophile for no reason. The knife people are like, you want to think about the craziest like right-wing people that are like, yo, I'm going to throw you in a wood chip or foot first, like those type of people. And I'm like, what is this? What is with this guy? Because his name is like John Connor everywhere. Like, what's your name? John Connor. He tells everybody's name, like from fucking Terminator. Like, your name's not John Connor. So I look into him, find a purchase order, find an address, look the address up, find a name, look up the name. 2012, this guy molested somebody. Okay, well, let's see if we can find a mugshot. Type it up. Okay, I got a picture of him. But there's no pictures of this guy online. He doesn't post pictures of his face. It's all him in a mask. If he's doing something, showing you building something, it's him wearing this fucking Joker mask or Scream mask or something. Like, this is weird. But I find one picture from his mom's Facebook from like 2009. And it's the same guy in the mugshot. It's like, wow. Why did you go through such levels to change your name, change your identity, change your stuff? And how was he allowed to do that? To just run away and be somebody else? If you did something bad, you could change your name. 2 years from now, nobody will know unless they really look into it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I do. It's nobody's out there watching. Nobody's looking that deep into it. But I get tips here and there. Somebody may know, I know this person from a past life or something. Oh, wow. Okay. You did all the research for me. They got away with it. So now you put it together, show all the stuff, show what they did, and that's a video.
It's so weird that you would imagine, because of the deep impact that sexual abuse and molestation has on kids and then ultimately humans throughout the rest of their life once the event happens, you would imagine that there'd be a little bit more of a spotlight on it. There'd be more people like you that were trying to get these people out of commission.
Well, there's only one true cure for pedophile, and I can't talk about it without your podcast getting canceled. So
got it. Hear that. Read between the lines.
These people. You fucked somebody's whole life up. You fucked somebody's whole life up, and the sentence that you get is, I just did a guy. He had massive amounts of child pornography on his laptop, 64 months, and he got off in half of that, 32 or whatever. He's like, how the fuck Like, how the fuck? Oh, it's just pictures. Like, no, that guy is the end user of a bunch of kids who were all victimized and sexualized. He's the end user. If he didn't exist, that shit wouldn't exist. He's the consumer. He made the market, and he got 32 months. It makes no fucking sense. No sense. Oh, he's on the sex offender registry for 5 years, and well, that's that. Like, no, that's not that. He's gonna adapt. He's gonna figure it out. He's gonna find how. Oh, how did I get caught that last time? Okay, let's do it this time.
You know, like you say this, right? And I'm listening. I'm thinking about like who my abuser, what his deal was. This guy was the after school program icon. In my elementary school, I grew up in New York City, so public elementary school in New York City in Manhattan. He was the after-school program, like, you know, guy. Every single kid who didn't have parents or had parents that worked or, in my case, my mother worked, my father was on permanent disability, and we didn't have a babysitter. So you get put into the after-school programs.
It's sick because that guy, he knew, I'm going to put myself in a spot where there's nobody looking after these kids.
Exactly.
Why were you there? Because, you know, I was the same way. You know, my parents, we couldn't afford a babysitter. We just stayed at home, and it was like, hopefully nobody comes and checks. But it's like, you're in this program, and why are you in this program? Because nobody's there to look after you.
Right.
And that's some predator shit.
That's predator shit. And so he was doing this for decades.
He ever get caught?
Yes, he did. So here's the thing, and it's interesting. So he did get caught with an enormous amount of, I don't know all the details. His name is, I'm going to out him right now. His name is Dan Sayers.
Fuck you, Dan.
Yeah. His name is Dan Sayers. He ran Cougars Sports Club in New York City. He also was the Cub Scout leader and a Boy Scout leader. Not married, no kids. But my parents, and I hate to say this, Mom, if you're listening to this podcast, like I just got to say it, it's true. You know, like it was so tough for me in my household as a kid with my father. We had a very, very violent relationship, my dad and I, that my mother thought it was safer for me to sleep at Dan Sayers' house because she never thought that he would be this predator, which is the weirdest thing ever, right? Like, but this is not an uncommon thing. It's not uncommon in those days in the 80s, early 90s, where like pedophilia wasn't it wasn't what it is now. It wasn't like a thing. So I would say, Mom, I want to sleep over at Dan's house because I had more fun at Dan's house. I played video games at Dan's house. I wasn't getting yelled at. I wasn't getting smacked at Dan's house. Like he was like preying on me as this young 8, 9, 10-year-old kid. Yeah, grooming me. And so I went there, and he did this to me. I wasn't alone in his house, you know? And luckily, at least from what I can recall, there was no rape. It wasn't like he was like blowing me. But I don't say that lightly, but he was touching us. He was putting us in the bath. He was putting us in the shower. I was sleeping in bed with him.
Yeah, things that shouldn't.
Shit that should not be done with a 9-year-old boy, right? And so ultimately, you know, I heard that he got caught with an enormous amount of child pornography photos. Apparently, he went to trial for it, got off.
Wow.
Got off, and ended up in an old age home and died in this old age home. But his friend, a guy named Jerry Schwartz, who also was part of my life, he never preyed on me, but he owned something called Adventure Trails, which was like a weekend, you know, like weekend getaway thing for kids in elementary school and high school, you know, go skiing, whatever. He also was a Boy Scout leader, not married, no kids.
Another fucking creep.
Yeah. His shit was all over the paper. I mean, he like molested a swath of kids in a really, really aggressive way. Rape. And so Dan and Jerry were good friends.
Of course, yeah. You know, it's the guy getting off, Dan getting off. A lot of them use this excuse of that these websites they're going to are nudist websites. I recently found this out. They make the claim. They get arrested. I found a guy in the case. He said, "Oh, I'm a naturalist. Those are nudist websites." You know, but for the fact that all the fucking photos you saved were naked kids, they put them on these websites for nudism. And it's like, you know, a dog whistle. It's like, oh, we feature naturalist families. And if you're a fucking creep, you look at that and say, oh, I know what I can find if I go to that website, child pornography. There's a big story I just did on a guy named Pasha Knight, who runs a nudist website and has been the subject of an investigation before for having child pornography on his website 20 some years ago, 2002. He gets contacted by investigators. They say, hey, you got stuff on your website. We're deeming it child pornography. You have to remove it. He's 18 at the time when this happens. He's 18 years and a month old. He says, okay, removes it. And they don't follow up. They don't pay any more attention to this guy. And it's now 20 years later. He created a website called Nudism TV, where he will, how is this funded? He'll send you a GoPro. If you want to be part of his thing and you want to get your family on it, he'll send you a GoPro and he'll pay you hourly for footage for his website, Nudism TV. Now, this thing's been alive for 2 years now. Nobody's seen a single bit of this footage on his Vimeo that he's supposed to post all this footage to. If you're a single guy, pay you like $100, $200 an hour for the footage. If you're a family and willing to film your children, $700 an hour. It's kind of weird, right?
Very weird.
There's no revenue stream here. If you go to their website and see, how are you making, how are you guys funded? He says, oh, I was an early adopter of crypto. But we can find from as early as 2002, he was running websites that were identified as having child pornography on them. So this guy he just slipped into the nudism community. I had a phone call yesterday because this is like a current thing that's going on. There's a giant nudist retreat called Sentient Fest put on by these very good people that are just, there's people have these hobbies, right? Bodybuilding is a fucking weird hobby. If you think about it, like I've been on stage in a mankini. It's a strange hobby. You oil yourself up, you get jacked and tan and lean and you flex in front of a panel of judges, right? Like it's kind of weird. Yeah, you wouldn't want to bring your mom to your bodybuilding show. Some people do, and I always think that's a little odd, but it's like, whatever. So anyway, these people have a hobby, nudism. It's like their thing. They're naturalists. They like just walk around butt-ass naked all the time. Normal people that aren't weirdos that don't want to film it, right? Like it's just their thing. This guy, Pasha Knight, the Nudism TV guy, links up with these people that put on a festival. They're not funded very well. They lose money every year putting on this festival. And he says, hey, let's do it together. I want to invest $100,000 into your festival. He invests money into them and uses the festival to promote his Nudism TV thing to get more families into it. And they found out about my story. They saw the Instagram video and they called me yesterday. They said, we've done business with this guy for 2 years. We had no fucking idea. We're not accepting his money next year. But like, we had no idea. It's crazy, right? There's predators.
Dude, so
that's some predatory shit.
Like it's terrible.
Yeah.
And I guess, to bring it all full circle, the reason why I was so excited to get you on the show was I think what you're doing is fucking awesome, and I think that some people can look at it and be like, oh, this guy is just like is like looking for, he's like trolling and looking for people to call out. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you can think that, or he's actually one of the very few people in the world that are fucking calling these really bad people out and putting them on blast and saying, hey, like this is happening.
People are afraid to do it. So, oh, don't, I'll get sued if I do that. Like, how many people threaten me with a lawsuit and never actually follow through with it? I've gotten sent cease and desist. I post them right away. Anytime somebody cease and desists me, I post it right away. Because if you're sending me a cease and desist, you're a pussy. You're not actually going to file. If I'm going to sue you, I'm filing. I'm not fucking cease and desist, not nothing. I'm not telling you, you're not going to know I'm filing. I'm going to file somewhere that's uncomfortable for you, and we're just going to file. There was a powerlifting federation called the USPA. We found a whole bunch of crazy shit on them. There were like meat directors that were dirty. There was like policies that they had that they lied about. The big issue and the big beef I had with them is they found out that there was a guy whose wife, that he was a head honcho named Johnny Lane. His wife had basically raped a boy for a good bit of time. She was a like church camp counselor. I don't remember the exact details, but it's like she was a church camp counselor. He was a boy in the camp. They fucked. She raped him. Bad news, right? He's like the head honcho. She comes to all the meets. She's handling money, registering people, helping with weigh-ins, like bad stuff. They find out about it a few years ago. And, oh, we're so sorry, guys. They're gone. We kicked them out, whatever. We're doing background checks so this never happens again. Okay, this is 2-3 years ago, right? We're doing background checks so this never happens again. We should have background checked her. You guys are right. comes to 2022, 2023, I find a woman who literally beat a special needs child and lost her job as a teacher because she violently beat a special needs kid, got convicted of it. And I'm like, I thought they did background checks. Like, how the fuck is this woman a referee in the federation and they do background checks, but she exists? Like, how is that possible? Like, if you told me right now, like, I do background check and I find somebody in your roster that's a convicted felon, like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Comes to find out, because I run a bunch of stories and I get these people on the phone, they never did background checks. They were just typing people's name into like the sex offender registry. Oh, they didn't come up. Okay, they're good. But doesn't mean you're a good person, right? There could be violent crimes against children, like, if they're handling money, like some crazy theft thing. And so I run this big story on it. We're going to sue you. We're going to sue you. I was like, okay, like, don't tell me. Just fucking do it. They send me a cease and desist the day before the Arnold. And I was like, going, the Arnold Sports Festival is, right? Going into the Arnold, I was like, damn, nothing controversial's happened. Like, I got I launched my pre-workout at the Arnold. It's like, I got a pre-workout I'm coming out with. Like, nobody's really paying that much attention to my page. And all of a sudden, the USPA serves me the day before. I was like, oh, they didn't serve me. They sent me a fucking cease and desist. I was like, awesome. From the minute I got it, 4 minutes later, that shit's online. I was like, thanks, guys. All this stupid, like, clown shit that they're... And I called my attorney. I was like, what do you think about this? He's like, they're fucking stupid. Hopefully they file. The counterclaims are endless because they send out emails about me specifically, that I'm a liar and I've not told the truth and everything I made was a fabrication. And it's like they emailed like 80,000 people this shit. And it resulted in people replying to them and being like, fuck you, USPA. Like, people were sending me the replies. They're like, you guys are a bunch of clowns. It's like, damn.
So I think, like, at the end of the day, like, I think what you're doing is you're really just you're surfacing a lot of shit that just goes under the radar, and things that specifically in the fitness industry, which I'm in, which you're in. I mean, I have a business in wellness which deeply touches the fitness world, and I'm also, I'm a pro bodybuilder as well. And so for me, like, I give a big shout out to the OCB because I feel like that organization is the
Natty organization.
Yeah. When I competed in that organization, it was like, I mean, I felt like I was getting interrogated, literally.
Yeah.
Like, especially when I got my pro card and then competed as a pro, it was like, those dudes are fucking...
OCB hates me.
They do?
They blocked me briefly on Instagram.
Oh, tell me what happened.
So there's a... She was pregnant, so I left her alone for a bit. If I'm trolling somebody and like you get pregnant, I'm gonna leave you alone for a minute. So I'm not gonna say her name, but it was this show promoter that was just fucking lying about everything. She'd post her client because she wanted to like jump into the OCB and be like a promoter. She'd post her clients. She'd be like, they got top 3 today at whatever. And it's like, yo, I looked it up and there were 3 girls there. Like, of course she was top 3. She was also last place, motherfucker. And I can't even remember. This is like a year ago. Oh, the biggest thing she did, she would build a team, right? A team of coaches. And so imagine, let's say you're coached by a high-level coach. Shelby Starnes coaches you. And I'm coached by Matt Jansen. We got some third fucker who's recruiting us. Hey, do you want to come work on my team? You bring your own clients. We just organize it under like an umbrella of a team. So you're on my team. Okay, we're on this guy's team. Now this guy posts me and you as his athletes and says, look at what we turned out this year. This guy, you're the product of Shelby Starnes. I'm the product of Matt Jansen. But this asshole's posting us like we're his clients. She was doing that, and I caught her doing it. She posted a big flyer. These are our athletes from 2021.
And what do the other coaches say about that?
Well, I contacted all of them because I know all these guys, and I was like, you see this shit? They're like, burner. So I ran a video, and I was like, yo, what are you doing here? What is this? Like, these aren't your athletes because this guy belongs to this guy. This girl belongs to this girl. This girl. And she called me a liar. She's like, oh, I didn't mean that. That's not what it went. It's like, you call them your athletes, not my coaches, like your athletes. And so she then went on to be an OCB promoter. So,
so like, as you're talking, I'm thinking, I'm listening, and I'm like, the most polarizing component of what you're doing, in my opinion, is basically saying, do the right fucking thing.
If you hate me, you hate the truth. If somebody ever is mad at me, they're mad about the truth. People are like, oh, aren't you afraid somebody to come up to you at an expo? Like, they're mad about the truth? I'll happily talk to them. Like, you're mad about what your reality was. Reality pissed you off so much that when I said it out loud, It made you mad. I'm never a liar. Like, I'm never posting something that's not real. These people get upset because they're like, fuck, people know about that and it's not a good look and I know it. This girl got so mad at me. She got the OCB to block me. And so I had a client that actually competed at the OCB named Brent Perez. He competed at an OCB show and it was close to here. And he's like, you want to come with me? And I was like, yeah. So I wore this guy's, I wore the stupid, it was stupid, like a bowler hat and one of those glasses things with the nose and the mustache. The whole time I was there, I wore that shit. Took a bunch of photos and then I tagged them. But I couldn't tag them because it's like OCB. But I tagged like all the promoters and stuff. And they end up unblocking me. And they DM me, they're like, you were never blocked. I was like, yo, I just tried to tag you and I couldn't tag you because you're blocked. Like, you were never blocked. We don't know anything about that.
That's so funny. See, so yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a ripple effect, right? Like the thing that I think is the most important piece of the puzzle of this piece, and obviously, you know, we're not getting a lot of habits out of this, but I wasn't actually expecting to get a lot of habits out of this. This conversation was something I was really looking forward to. Do the right fucking thing. Just do the right thing. And by the way, if you don't do the right thing, we all make mistakes. Obviously, don't make the mistakes that you point out because those are life-altering mistakes for a lot of people. But if you fuck up, hold yourself accountable. Like, show up, you know.
It means a lot to just like the people that put on that nudist colony festival thing. They called me yesterday. And the reason they called me is they're like, your people are insane. They're coming for us now. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're coming for you because on your website, you got a picture next to this guy, Pasha Knight, that I've uncovered to have previously been identified as a child pornographer. Like, that's where they're coming for. My followers are crazy. Like, they're fucking nutcases. They will find shit that I don't even find. And it's actually kind of the way I'm able to just find shit. Because they're all like, they've been watching me do this. I've taught them. And so they're doing it on a major level, right? There's like 100,000 of them digging into this shit. And I guess they were all contacting these people. And they're like, what do we do to make it stop? I was like, well, you guys didn't do anything here. But you have aligned yourself with a guy who's a predator. And now everybody knows he's a predator. So you need to push him away, right? So like, for instance, say you have a business for the last 5 years and you find out today, right now, sitting in this chair, that dude raped a bunch of kids. Would you be quiet about it? No, I'd want to let everybody know that, yo, for the last 5 years, I stood next to this guy and I didn't fucking know either. Because otherwise it looks like you're in on it, right? It looks like you're complicit. So I told them, I was like, yo, all you have to do,
make a statement and say it.
Yeah, I was like, I can help you write it, make a statement, but you got to burn this guy to the ground. You got to say we didn't know nothing and fuck him, like, because that's the only way that you're gonna hold yourself accountable, and the only way that nobody's gonna associate you with that guy.
Right, and also the other piece that I think is super important that could easily get like overlooked here is know who you're fucking dealing with too, right? Not only should you be doing the right thing all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't want someone like you coming after you, do the right thing and be honest and have authenticity, integrity, and dignity in your fucking life. But also understand who you're surrounding yourself with. Like, for real.
I'm big on that. Like, you ever heard like that law of averages? Like, you're the average of the 5 closest people. Some of those people you can't pick. It's like your mom or your dad or whatever, and they may bring your average up or your average down. But it's like the other people, those other 3 or 4 that you can pick. That's big. If they're shitheads, like, there's no chance. You got 5 Fs surrounding you, like you're going to be an A. That's not going to fucking happen. If you got a bunch of A pluses, like, you can't be an A. You can't be anything other than an A. Because if they're all A pluses, they're going to look at you like, yo, you fucking bum ass. Like, you got nothing you're contributing to the world. All my friends, they have businesses. They're doing cool stuff. They're making a name for themselves. Like, all of my friends. And those are the people that I choose to surround myself with. And they want to fuck with me because I do the same thing. Same with you, bro. Do you have any friends that are like straight bums that have nothing going for them, that are always woe is me? And no.
I mean, you know, I grew up in New York City, and I was a pretty bad kid for a long time.
Yeah.
And 75% of the kids that I grew up with are dead.
Yeah.
The other 25% are either crushing it on another level or stuck.
Yeah.
And I do my absolute very best to either help motivate them or keep them at arm's length.
Yeah. It's like,
You know?
it's not like don't associate with, or like help these people, but think about the 5 closest people to you.
Yeah, of course.
Nobody that's got a bunch of shit going on is like, oh yeah, I got room for this guy that's always, woe is me, doing stuff, criminal, crazy shit. It's like, no, bro, you got to figure your shit out.
One of my all-time best friends, who I love, he's the godfather of my oldest son. I got sober almost 19 years ago, so I've been in recovery for a long time, right? we got sober together. He was sober for 10 years, and then he started dipping back into the bad news. About 4 years ago, he completely imploded, exploded, fucking disintegrated into the world of addiction. And he's been there. Now, mind you, this guy was playing music with, he's one of the most talented musicians ever. I mean, he was opening up for Bob Dylan, traveling the world. He was in Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. He was in Dawes. This dude is a brilliant musician. And when he's sober, he is the best human being on the planet. Like, you don't know me well, but you can kind of assume I'm a good, normal guy. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't be here if I thought you were a fuck up. Yeah,
I'm married. I got kids. Like I'm a responsible guy. I've built businesses. Like he's my best friend, right? For the last 3.5 years, he's been smoking crack.
Yeah.
And he was married to an unbelievable woman. They were going to have kids. I mean, they live a beautiful house and got like just amazing, right? He's gone. He's gone.
And, you know, people would criticize you. They'd be like, how could you not be there? There's only so much you can do. And people underwrite selfishness. Selfish is a bad word to a lot of people. No, a lot of people, like everybody should be selfish. When they say you're selfish, they mean you should give more to me than I give to me. That's not selfish. That's they're taking advantage of you. Like you should be selfish. And if you're selfish in that situation, that makes sense to me. This guy's imploding his life. You know, at some point, like, bro, you got to stop. It's your life.
Yeah, well, the hardest part about that with someone who I actually love is that I completely had to just let go. Just completely distance myself.
You do as much as you can, and it's like, okay, how do you fill somebody else's cup if yours is completely empty? Like you fucking can't. You know, you just keep going. You implode yourself too for somebody. No, I'm not going to jump if you jump.
I wanna just talk about a few more things before we wrap this up. But because you're a coach and because you got 100 guys in your roster, I mean, you're coaching a lot of people. I would imagine that you have a few tips to give the listener in the world of nutrition and fitness. If someone's like listening and they're like, I just want a few things to get going. I want to get stronger. Everybody wants to get fucking jacked and lean, right? Like everybody wants muscle. And, people don't understand there's a big difference between being lean and being shredded. People say shredded. They have no idea what it takes to get shredded. Getting shredded
is like, let's see your glutes, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? People are like, oh, I'm so lean. It's like, what about your legs?
Right. That's
they look like bread loaves. You're not lean, bro.
That's right. Like
if it doesn't hurt to sit down because there's no fat on your ass, you're not lean. I'm sorry. Like it's just how it is.
So hard. It's so hard to get there. So paint the picture of a healthy place to be where you rip off your shirt and you feel awesome, and you got it. You're lean. You got your 8 to 10% body fat, and then what it looks like to be 3 to 5%.
I mean, a lot, right? It's like these guys, they're not doing, a lot of them, you're getting to 3%, not naturally. It's not happening naturally. It's suffering. You're not going out with the boys. You're not drinking. Everything's on a scale. You're waking up to cardio. You're probably doing cardio twice a day. And you're there for maybe 3 weeks before you're like, this is too much, because your show is within that 3-week period and maybe you're doing a second show. But that 3% isn't a year-round thing. 12 even is really fucking lean. 12. If somebody's got to be, if you have to be 12% to be happy, like, bro, you got other things that are making you unhappy.
Talk about that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. I don't know. I competed 2015, 2016, 2017, and I competed through law school because I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know why I did that, but I did 2 shows every single year for law school, every single year, won my class every show, and I was it was miserable, man. It was miserable. I realized at the end of that I enjoyed my coaching roster more than I appreciated the competing itself. Because it was like, I'd be lean for like that 2 weeks, like truly in shape for a bodybuilding show for like that 2 weeks. And then after that, couldn't give a shit. Wanted to be strong, wanted to go to the gym, hang out with the boys. The gym is like my Netflix, right? It's like, that's my time to go hang out. All my friends I've ever made are either from the gym or like walking around the city, like, but mostly the gym, right? Like, oh, you spot me? It's like, oh, you just made a friend. Like, isn't that how it is? You go to the gym. How do I make half my friends? Like asking for a spot.
Why do you think that is? Like, I also want to draw a quick correlation to the level of obsession that a bodybuilder needs to have. The level of obsession it goes way beyond hobby, right? Bodybuilder, right?
Well, as a coach, like I recognize it right away because there are some guys that will hire you and you realize it's just never gonna fucking happen. And it's because, I got a guy, he is competing. He checks in at 6:05 a.m. every single day. Every time he's supposed to check in, it's 6:05. It's not 6:04. It's not 7:30. I'm sorry. It's not 4 a.m. It's not noon. I slept in. It's 6:05 every day. His photos are in the same fucking spot every single day. He is always wearing the same thing. The things in his room are in the same spot. He has a backdrop that is set up the same way. The lighting conditions are always exactly the same. You think this guy's doing something different in anything else during that day? No. His cardio, he's probably doing in the same fucking machine because he has to do that to be mentally right. He's probably eating the same sauces, the same quantities. I know he is, or he should be, because that's what he's supposed to be doing, right, as my client. But this guy improves week to week because he's obsessed. Is that a sustainable way to live? No, not at all. But he has a fucking goal, and he's going to crush his show, and he's going to be lean as shit for the day of, and he's going to communicate with me throughout the whole time because he's obsessed and he wants it. And you got some other guys that'll be like, yo, sorry, coach, I slept in today or whatever. Just the photos themselves, their house is a mess. It's like, bro, come on. Like you have no fun in your life right now. You're not going out. You're not partying. Your friends aren't coming over. You're not going out to eat. You're at home all day. If you're at work or not at the gym, you're at home. Clean that shit up. You know what I mean? Look, how is that house dirty right now and you're a bodybuilder, bro?
You just painted the greatest picture. I did a post not long ago that went fucking viral. And I basically said, you walk into someone's house and you open up their closet, and the way their closet looks will tell you exactly what it looks like in between that person's ears.
Yeah, it's true.
Like the closet. And I got shit from a lot of people being like, oh God, super successful people, chaos, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I know for sure that when my life is going, when I'm fucking in a flow zone, my shit is, everything is hung up, shit is folded, socks are not on the floor. When shit's a fucking mess for me, I open up my closet, it's a fucking mess.
Yeah, and it's because I want to wake up. I don't want to have to think about what I'm putting on. I just want to be able to grab it and go because I got shit to do. I got stuff that I'm really focused on. I agree with you. My shit's I have 4 bazillion shirts. Do people send you shirts, by the way?
A lot.
Is it a thing? I have a platform and I'm like, where are all these shirts? Everybody needs to send me a shirt. I have more shirts than I know what to do with. I'm wearing this fucking Bubble Yum tournament shirt I got it at Goob U like 10 years ago. This is one of my favorite t-shirts. This is one of my favorites. I don't know where you could find this again.
Probably couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there are certain people that are obsessed with everything they do, and they don't do shit that they're not going to be obsessed with.
My friend Ross has a quote. He says, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And that comes into play here. And that's when I'm looking at these photos, I'm always thinking that. I'm like, if everything's sloppy, the photo's out of focus and you send it. There's only 4 to 6 photos they're sending me. If one's like out of focus or blurry, it's like, motherfucker, this is your update for the week. You saw that photo and you click send anyway because you don't care. And that's the way that they're treating everything. It's supposed to be 150 grams rice. It's 172. That's a blurry photo. Whatever. They don't give a fuck. That's fine.
And the craziest thing is that as a bodybuilder, that 22 grams is actually going, you know what the truth is that maybe that 22 grams is not going to make a difference right then and there. However, if you fucking ate that 22 grams, you know that you're eating that 22 grams all the time.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's not the one meal, but it's 22 grams. You're probably going to have 100 meals over the next, 4 weeks or wherever. Okay, 22 times 100, 2,200. That's some extra carbs.
Yeah, that's like that's 3 pounds of fucking fat.
Yeah, that's a deviation there. Right. That's so crazy.
And that is how fucking crazy it is because now, I stopped by in 2020. Let's see, we're in 23. I made a decision at the end of 21 to stop competing in bodybuilding, and I found out, because I was dieting so hard, like my hormones were all fucked up. Like everything was fucked up.
Makes sense, yeah.
My whole shit was fucked up.
It sounds about right, yeah.
And so I said, all right, this is not, A, this is killing my wife. B, I want to be able to not eat out of a Tupperware anymore. C, I've done it. I did it. I'm not going to be
2018. I was like, yo, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I want to go be strong in the gym. I'm happy.
I know I can fucking do it.
Yeah. People knew who I was through it in the fitness world. And I was like, that was really my goal, was just that people were happy to hire me because they were like, we saw you do it. And we saw you do it in absurd conditions of like, I was in law school, I worked 2 jobs at the time and I was still competing. And it's like, okay, if I could do that shit. My closet was stellar, by the way, at that point in time. I had no furniture in my living room. I didn't have a TV, but my closet was stellar because I had to wake up and go.
Yeah, well, dude, that's like when you're in that phase of life, right? Specifically when you're dialed like in contest prep.
No time for nothing. I had like 5 t-shirts. This was one of them, actually. This was one of my 5 t-shirts of the roster. I had a Mickey Mouse one too. And there was no time to think about anything. I was like going to work.
Yeah, and also, you know, like one thing that I think is so powerful about the world of fitness and nutrition is if you can commit consistently to a fitness regimen and a nutrition regimen, like really commit with a goal, you can fucking do anything. Those 2 things have really been the foundation, the poured concrete of my fucking life and success.
I agree with that. I really agree with that. Because it's fitness isn't 45 minutes in the gym. It's what else goes into it? Your sleep, your food, your planning. Like you have to have time for this shit. It's not just going to the gym. It's you had to make a window of your day where you know you're going to be there. And that's tough for a lot of people. It's really tough.
Yes, it's fucking hard. Like I think fitness is like sort of like it's an overarching term that covers all things mental, physical, and even spiritual for me. But that doesn't mean that there's a shit ton of loose cannons that are able to commit to their fitness and nutrition, right? There's a lot of bad people there that you are spending your time fucking.
Yeah. Well, that's all they care about is that. And also, I think a lot of them are fueled by this like narcissistic desire to just like be the best person they can and at the cost of everybody else. You know, it's like, are you able to be good in fitness and fit yourself and not tear everybody down around you? Yo, that's the true test.
Right. And so there's so many assets to it and there's a lot of upside in being able to do it. But having self-awareness and the ability to draw boundaries, I think is so important, right? When you're doing it, because typically if you're going to take your body to the level that you've taken it to, that I've taken it to, you have the ability to commit and you are obsessive. And I would argue to say that the reason why you've been so, like why your new sort of journey in sort of outing people that are bad people, the reason why you're so good at it and the reason why you've really sort of developed like a massive following of people that really want to help you on this mission is because you're obsessed with it.
I'm fucking obsessed. Dude, my sleep is weird. Like I sleep like 3 hours on. I wait till like midnight and then I'm usually doing research and I'll do client emails and research back to back from like 12 to 6. And then I'll nap till like 9.
Wow.
And then I wake up and I check messages and I just do it all over again. It's like I don't know, you get so drug into these things and I'll have 200 DMs a day of just shit. And I go through them and usually it's like, all right, I look at something and I look to see if I'll get one first hit. You know, this person did this. And I'm looking, and most of it is like, okay, you know, some he said, she said, or like something I can't prove, or like relationship drama, just stuff I don't care about. You know, whoa, your partner, you dated a bodybuilder and he cheated on you. All of them cheat. All bodybuilders cheat, by the way. Mm-hmm. Every single bodybuilder cheats. I cheated when I was a competitor. I was a degenerate.
I didn't.
You were a natural competitor, though. Truth. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's the difference. You find a nice man in the OCB, like this guy himself, he's gonna, you know, be a loyal guy. In NPC, they're on the drugs. I'm sorry, it's just how it is. And I like these girls will DM me. They're like, my boyfriend cheated on me. He's a bodybuilder, competitor. Okay. In the NPC, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. You just wait until he retires and he'll be a good stand-up guy. Mm-hmm. It took me a while to not be a piece of shit, but I was like, wow, and it was just all the shit that you're on. You know, you're competing. You're on like all this tests and all this stuff. I don't know if I can say that in the podcast, but
you can say whatever you want.
You're on all this shit, and it's like it doesn't make you a great person. It lowers these inhibitions that you have that you otherwise would be a good person about. And I didn't realize until years after. I was like, wow, I'm now thinking with a really clear mind. Like a really clear mind. And that's not to demonize anabolic steroids or anything. I think there's therapeutic uses that are totally legitimate. But the way that contest prep goes about, it's really hard to be in a committed relationship and be a good person at the same time. And I'd say more often than not, these guys are degenerates. There was this girl the other day. She somehow logged into the dude. She was seeing a guy. And it was weird. He would take my car sometimes, and I'd pick him up from work, but it didn't look like he'd work there. And it was like a big fucking deal. And I was like, well, those are some red flags for me. How long were you this guy? 7 months. Okay. Like, Jesus.
I think you got a private investigator down the road, dude.
I don't want to do that, bro.
I can see that.
It turns out he's got a whole family. He has a whole family and 2 other girlfriends. I found a bunch of. I was like, yo, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Here you go. And so she somehow logs into his Instagram, takes all of his photos down, and just blows them up with like 4 or 5 posts on his. This is his shit. For like, imagine somebody logs into your stuff right now, collapses everything, and then just puts up, "He's a cheater." I was like, damn.
Oh man,
this poor boy. I felt bad. I was like, he's getting burned. But I told her, I was like, yeah, no more bodybuilders. Like, this is. Like, he's a men's physique competitor in the NPC, and you didn't think he was gonna cheat on you? Like,
boy.
come on. No, I'm sure there's a couple good guys out there, but the majority are turning us bad.
Wow, man,
It's terrible.
Wow. All right, so let's just get a few little habits that we can that for the person who wants to go from who's just dying to get that to see this summer. They really want to, and they're not like way far gone. They're in that sort of
Way
20,
far gone, you putty.
Yeah. You're not putty, but you're in that like 20 to 25% arena, and you want to see your abs this summer. Like, what do you do?
Overarching, what I see in a lot of my clients that I fix, the best thing I fix for them, I make people film their gym lifts, film something in the gym for me. And I tell them, film the best thing you did this week. Give me 3 of those, the best 3 things you did this week. And they send me these fucking bullshit videos where it's like their intensity level is like this. Like they're like opening the fridge and like, I want to see some shit where you're dying, like intensity. My rule for myself, 3 times a week, I go to the gym and I load something on a bar that scares me. And if it doesn't scare me, I didn't do it right. You get your spotters and you do it the safe way, but I want to be afraid. I'm strong. I'm like a strong dude. For my weight, I'm like 200 pounds. I'm a 400-pound bencher, 600-pound deadlifter. I squat 5 plates for reps. Like, I always just try to be afraid of something. Like, I want to be afraid. And a lot of people, they never get to the point where they're uncomfortable in the gym. They just go and they're like, I'm sorry, but walking into the fucking place with the 4 walls that has the equipment in it doesn't do anything for you. What do you do when you get there? And so if you haven't ever filmed yourself doing something and you're trying to make some progress and it's not happening and your diet's fine, which it probably is pretty all right, it's that gym. That 45 minutes to an hour and a half that you spend in the gym, you're probably fucking around. And if you start filming, you'll be like, damn, okay, I could have been sending it a little harder there. So that's my tip. My habit that I do. I film myself a lot. I don't post a lot of you've probably never even seen me lift on the internet. Maybe once or twice.
Times.
I film a lot and I review it to see intensity. Did I have anything left over? Where did I? And then you get this idea of like, okay, that felt really heavy, but it looked really light. Or, sometimes you're like, damn, I was bullshitting.
It's so funny that you say that, because you could be under the bar and you're like, man, this feels heavy. And you do a rep.
You watch it and it's like,
yeah, and you watch it and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That did not look nearly like what it felt like.
Yeah, we had a outdoor. I don't know. Oh, by the way, this Saturday, if you want to come out, 27th and Broadway, we're doing an outdoor lift. I don't know if you saw any of my posts about that.
I saw that. Yeah.
But we have something I call the Wuhan press because during coronavirus, I was lifting out with my boys, but we didn't have a rack. So to squat and bench, like to squat, we had to have guys pick it up and throw it. But to bench, we would deadlift, put it on your knees, sit down on the bench, move it to your hips, and then thrust it up. It's called the Wuhan press. And I did it with like 330 at the outdoor training last Thursday when we did it. And I was like, when I was doing it, I was like, fuck, I'm going to die. Like, I was scared. There's a bunch of people watching. I was like, there's no paramedics. Like, the most I've ever done on it is 315 for a few reps. And I was like, 330, fuck it, we're here sending it. Pick it up, and I get it up, and I hit it for 6 reps. And I was like, that was a grinder. Like, those were all terrible. I watched the video. I was like, I look like a madman.
Dude, I watched the video.
Yeah,
actually.
I was smoking.
I'm not so surprised you're saying that, but
Dude,
now I know.
I had fear. That was scared. And I loaded 330 because usually I've done 315. But I was like, there's people here. I know I'm going to be filming it, and I'm afraid. I got to be afraid because 315 doesn't scare me anymore. It's like I do that all the time. But I put, 330, 15 more pounds. I've never done that. So I was like, I'm going to touch something today that I've never done. So that was a video that you saw of me making sure I was afraid of something I loaded. That was my number 3 for the week because that was Thursday, and I knew it wasn't training Friday or Saturday.
I love that habit. So 3 things a week in the gym that genuinely scares you, where you're genuinely scared. So it's so interesting. I'm doing CrossFit now. So I made a decision to go from bodybuilding to I want to compete in the CrossFit Games in 2.5, 3 years, which is a pretty aggressive goal, right? Like, who the fuck knows if I get there, but I'm saying it out loud. I want to do it. So I'm going to go hard at it. I'm training CrossFit 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. I'm learning Olympic lifts for the first time. I didn't do fucking Olympic lifts. I had no idea what a you know, I knew what a clean and press was with a kettlebell. I knew what a snatch is with a kettlebell, you know, but
the barbell's a whole different,
It's just, it is the most technical, humbling. You know, I'm like, you know, I'm not squat, deading, and pushing as much as you are, but for my size, 165 pounds, I bench, you know, 295.
It's a big bench.
I squat 385 for a couple of reps.
It's a great squat.
And I deadlift 415, which isn't a ton, but it's like more than I've ever done before.
Those are respectable numbers. 165 pounds, it's respectable as numbers.
So I pick up a bar to start trying to snatch and get, you know, 100 and like when I first started, I was like, wait a second, I can't get 135 pounds over my head from the ground, you know, doing this technique. Like I can't, it is so hard.
Did you see the video I did on Josh Bringus?
No.
Dude, you'll love this. He's an Olympic lifter named Josh Bringus. Posts a video of himself snatching, this will make sense to you, 170 kilograms.
How old, how tall, how much does the guy weigh?
76 kilograms.
Yeah, see, it's
now,
crazy.
if you look up in the record books, there is a 168 kilogram snatch, I do believe. That is the world record held by a guy. 168. This guy's posting a video of him doing 170. And everybody's freaking out about it. They're like, this is crazy. It's in a gym. He's just doing it in a gym. And I look at it. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I didn't know nothing about Olympic lifting before this. Do my research.
Is this like is this guy, he's been doing it sort of like, I think I know who the guy is. I think I know. Does he have kind of long hair? He's like, no?
No, this is a nobody. Nobody knows who he is. Josh Bringus, just a kid. He's actually been WADA banned for doping in the past, but that has nothing to do with this. All the drugs in the world, 170 kilogram snatches, that's 350 some pounds snatched from the ground above your head as a 76 kilogram man. It's a lot of fucking weight, right? And I'm looking at this video. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. The bar bounce is weird. What's going on here? He's got 2.5 kilogram technique plates on the inside. So instead of it being 170 kilos, it's 120, something like 120, 125.
Oh God! So it's
think about the math. And I was like, wow. And so I ran a video where I broke down, like, here are the world record holders, here are the thing. And at the end of the video, I was like, Josh, I will fly to you. I will give you $1,000 if you replicate this and let me unload all the plates and weigh them on a scale. And he totally never replied. Never replied.
Well, dude, the craziest thing is about those lifts. I mean, those lifts are just, it's not like, I mean, obviously there's a technique to deadlifts. There's a technique to squat. There's a technique to bar. I mean, no, to bench press. But in Olympic lifting, there's like 14 cues.
It's crazy. Those guys are animals. They're obsessed. They're obsessed because they work on like 2 lifts their whole time.
Right. It's a clean and a snatch.
Yeah. Sometimes you see them front squatting, and everything else, it's like, all right.
It is the hardest thing ever,
yeah.
And it's so frustrating. I filmed myself yesterday, and the coolest thing about filming for you know, like my coach right now is basically like, dude, you're strong. You're fucking scared. That's it. Like you've got, so I love the fact that you're just like, yo, dude, you just got to do.
Now
shit
you know, bro. 3 times a week.
It's the only way to get better.
Literally scare yourself.
I'm so scared. Yesterday I was training. I probably spent 45 minutes between 175 and 185 pounds on the bar, just singles, single, just trying to get through that fear. Like I get the bar all the way to here, and I just don't. It's that one last movement. It's fucking terrifyingly scary. And so, you know, because, you know, that shit drops on your head, you're kind of fucked, right? So it's like a scary thing. So I love that. I love that habit. What else can we tell?
One more thing, that people never fail in the gym. I rarely will get a video that somebody, and I tell them like, you know, this one is the one you're taking to failure. I rarely will get a video where it's a squat and that bar rests on the safeties. Ever. Very rarely, ever. It's like, if you learn that failure is okay and you learn you're good and learn how to fail safely, you're going to get stronger, because you're not going to be, the biggest thing they're afraid of is like, oh, the bar is going to be there. I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to have to unload it. It's like, who cares? You're not gonna look stupid. You're gonna look like somebody who fucking tried. You went to the end. But then you get the only fails we ever see in the gym is the 160-pound kid that loads up like 560 in the thing and wobbles it off the rack and then collapses. Like that's the fail we're used to seeing. We're not used to seeing the equipment used the right way, right? Like how often do you see somebody do that in the gym where they go truly to failure and the bar rests?
Very rare.
Like, rarely, right? But that's what it's there for. It's there to keep you safe. So that's my thing is fail. Try to fail a little bit or come close. Anyway.
That's good. I think that needs to be heard. And I think that, when you look at some of these guys, some of the strongest guys in the world, gals in the world, when you look at their videos,
they bring the fucking intensity.
Dude, they're not.
You know who Dawson Wyndham is?
No.
He's a powerlifter. Everybody should go watch Dawson Wyndham's videos. Just the way the kid trains in practice, in competition, it's the same intensity. No matter what the kid's doing, he could probably be fucking cooking an egg and he's doing it like fucking intense. I don't know. He just turns it on. He's like walking around, whatever, gets under the bar, turns it on. Like it's on from the time the set starts to the time the set's over. He's just intensity. And I've watched the kid go from like, he's young. I've been watching him since maybe he was like 17, 18, 19 to like a giant, jacked, world-class powerlifter just because his intensity is always there.
What about cardio?
What about cardio?
Talk to me about like your philosophy on cardio quick.
I get 10,000 steps and that's it. I feel like every human being, 10,000 steps, you're probably going to be in the top echelon of that. There's tons of studies they do it. You get more than 10,000 steps a day, you're living longer than somebody that doesn't.
I know that when I'm in New York City, because I live upstate now, I get like 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah, you walk a lot here.
I make it my job to walk. Yeah. I love fucking walking in New York City. Upstate, pretty much anywhere outside of a metropolitan, kind of cosmopolitan environment, it's fucking hard to get 10,000 steps. Yeah. So I have to actually schedule my walks because I know the impact of 10,000 steps.
Walking's free too. Or a lot of my guys that work at home, or if you have a job like kind of what you do, it's like stand, go at the kitchen counter and do your laptop work standing. Do something to where you're increasing that energy expenditure. Walk, stand, don't be a sedentary slob. Like I see personal trainers in the gym sometimes that sit down while their clients are doing whatever. Like, what are you sitting for? You shouldn't be sitting. You should be talking shit right now. Like, stand the fuck up. If you're at work and you can stand, why don't you stand? You're there for 8 hours. You could probably get 5,000-6,000 steps just fucking standing by your desk. You know what I mean? Like, those are steps. It still counts, right? Mm-hmm. You're moving around a little bit here, there, shimmy.
Nutritionally, my experience is probably similar to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. There are some of the freaks out there that are able to take in just an enormous amount of carbohydrates and their body responds differently than other people, right? There are, I think, genetically some people that just can handle a shit ton of carbohydrates.
For sure.
Whereas the majority of us, like, if you want to get super lean, you have to work out as hard, if not harder than what you're currently doing in a maintenance or a bulk, and trim your carbohydrates pretty significantly. What is your thoughts on just macro split for bulk, maintain, cut?
I think, honestly, the main problem that people have is no regulation. I think anybody could probably figure it out if there's absolute regulation. And what I mean by that is, fuck macros. Macros in the human error component, I don't think are a good match. I shit on macros all the time. Because it's like this. My best client that follows exactly what I ask them to do every single day is not at 100%. Human error. Something's going on there. A sauce was splashed a little too much, or maybe they used a little less, whatever. Their scale was off a little bit, or it was teared, crooked, or who knows. Maybe 95%, maybe 90%, the best client that I have every single day, 90%, 90%, 90%. And that's them eating the same meal every single day that they sit down with the same ingredients and the same whatever. Now imagine you're trying to play Tetris with macros. Do you think at best you're going to get to that 90%? No, probably 60, 70. Do you think if you go to McDonald's and you order a McDouble or a McChicken, the dude's squirting the mayonnaise with that fucking guy, do you think he's like, oh, the FDA report says that it has to be 12 grams of fat. Let me measure this shit out. No, that guy's just squirting that shit everywhere. You ever get a McChicken, bro? It's
I'll be honest, I haven't eaten fast food in a really long time. I'm that guy.
You go order a McChicken, you open that shit up, it's like a bukkake happened, bro. There's just shit everywhere. You're like, damn, this is a lot of mayonnaise. That's not 12 grams. That is not whatever they say it is. And so where I don't like macros is a lot of people use it for freedom. And that freedom that you get is now shitting on you. It's cool. You're not a competitor. You're not trying trying to get shredded, whatever macros, live your life, it's cool. But if you have a goal and you're doing macros, like you're working against yourself, I think, because you're trying to have a goal and then have freedom at the same time, and you're going to be going out to eat and you're going to be relying on these menu things, and they're lying. They're lying to you. I'm sorry, but like it's just not true. The human error of somebody else preparing it and you not preparing your food yourself, you can't trust that. The guy in the kitchen doesn't know that you're trying to get shredded. There's a customer, give him extra potatoes. We fried this shit in oil. We didn't put that in the declaration. There's tons of these little places. How many products do you eat in a day?
Wow.
Do you know that the FDA, nobody knows this, when they give a nutrition panel to a product, I just figured this out the other day. When they give a nutrition panel to a product, they do a forensic or a scientific analysis of what the product contains, and they give them a number, right? Your protein bar has 180 calories in it, but oftentimes it's rounded, either up or down. If you are the most transparent motherfucker in the world and you say, my protein bar has 187 calories and I want to put it on the thing, you can't have 187. You can't be that specific. You have to round up or down. So they just give it to you as 180, but you don't know it's 187 or 184 or 183. You eat 10, 12, 15 products in a day, and that's just for one serving, right? That 184. Now you're off. That 4 calories is stacking 10 times a day over 10 days of meals. You've created that deficit that you thought you were in over a 10-day period, and now it's significantly reduced because you've been overeating because the thing that you trusted wasn't true. So how do you combat this? Eat the same shit every single day. If I'm off by a little bit, I'm off by the same amount every single day. Now the FDA can't get me. Now some guy at a McDonald's squirting the mayonnaise can't get me because I'm doing the same shit.
Is that your hack? It's just literally eat the same exact thing every day?
Yeah, make that shit consistent, because if it's not working, you'll figure it out and you'll know exactly why. And then you can adjust that thing. You're not going to fight the numbers that may not even be right. You're going to be fighting the arena that you have in front of you of all of my meals. And okay, I'm doing this the exact same way every single day and I'm just getting fat. Well, there must be a problem with it. Let's close the thing. Whereas you're looking at this macros and you're like, all right, well, from the last 3 weeks, I've gained weight, lost weight, gained weight. What's going on? Well, you've eaten 85 different things at 4 different restaurants, and maybe you'll go back to those same restaurants and replicate this the next 3 weeks, and it'll be entirely different. Like, this data isn't a good sample. This one's perfect. If you're a psycho and trying to be super shredded, this one you want to have fun. Like, this is me over here, by the way. This is don't think that I'm doing this one right here. I'm doing this one over here where we're just fucking around and having fun and loving my life. But if you're really trying to commit to something, eat the same shit every day.
So that's why I created a company called Kreatures of Habit.
Yeah,
because I believe that habit really is the way to hit goals. It just is.
Yeah, nothing wrong with being obsessed. People shit on it. Oh my God, I can't believe you eat the same thing every day to a competitor. It's like, that's what they want to do. What do you mean you can't believe? They believe in their goal. Like they want that.
And by the way, like I also think that there's like a really happy medium, right? Like for me, God help everybody, myself included, if I ever have to eat the way I was eating for, when I was competing in bodybuilding ever again. Like it's a very, very intense commitment to nutrition. Totally.
You have to want to do it too. Remember I was talking about, like, you see the signs in clients, the ones that you tell them, oh, you got this free meal, you're going to eat this, this, and this. Could I also get...
No.
You fucking loser, bro.
Can't. No,
you're not
right.
going to be a winner on that day.
Right.
But the ones that like, got it. I got this guy. He's like 50 years old. His name's Brian Slavinsky. He's a monster. Absolute monster. We had to do a feed on him the other. He'll lose weight like crazy. Like if I don't look at him for like 3 days, he sucks weight down like crazy. Like just trying to keep him full enough to be on stage and muscular is difficult. Real jack dude, but he'll lose weight like crazy. And I was like, hey, you got to go eat this, this, and this. And they're like some things that you'd be like fun. It's like steak and a couple muffins from Dunkin' Donuts, like some real fat kid shit, right? Like I love that stuff. And I thought he'd be like, oh, sweet. He just replies back, got it, with a period. I saw that. I was like, my man.
That's the guy. What's so funny? So the guy who's coming in after you, because I tend to line up a few of these podcasts. The guy who's coming in after you is actually the first and the only bodybuilding coach I ever had. And somebody introduced me to him. Hopefully you haven't added him. I don't think you
What's
have.
his name?
Teddy Pantelis.
No, he's off the list.
No, he's an awesome dude. You guys would probably get along really well. he's one of the greatest guys that, I mean, he really, really gave me the most ultimate crash course in nutrition and taught me how to bodybuild, and, we've done a lot of shit together, but basically he's like, he's basically like, look, I'm not going to try to pretend to coach you to compete if you don't fucking just listen to what I tell you to do. Right. Like,
it is a dictatorship.
Right.
I tell people that all the time. It's like, this is not a negotiation.
Right.
You're not going to get in here and be like, oh, I think I should do this.
If you ask me if I can have more, like, what the answer is going to be. And by you asking me means to me that you actually are not in the shit.
I ask people all the time, why are you paying me? Like, why are you paying me? You should not be paying me because you don't trust me, and you're going to be coaching yourself. It seems like that's cool. Some people do that. They never even ask, and they're just like, a little more, like whatever. Okay, don't you?
I've cut and I've bulked and I've cut and I've contest prep 5 times, so I kind of know. I know what it takes. I know what it fucking is.
In natural, that's a whole different ballgame. That's
totally different ballgame.
Longer preps,
16-week preps.
Yeah, it's tough. And you gotta be, if you're doing 16 weeks as a natural guy, you gotta be lean from the start of that shit.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the last 2 preps that we did were the last 4 weeks.
Misery. Natty
0
bodybuilding
carbohydrates.
is savages.
0 carbohydrates.
Anytime I get a natural guy, they're fucking crazy. Like they're the craziest. Brent Perez. I was speaking of guys who can eat crazy amounts of carbs and stay lean. Natural competitor Brent Perez. He won an OCB Pro card at that show that I had to go into in disguise. Mm-hmm. He never ate less than like 250 grams rice per meal for like 4 meals a day. This is a natty kid, 150 pounds. I was like, this makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, I see that. See, that's the thing. Like, there are those weird oddballs.
It made no sense. No sense. Just leaner every single day. Like, all right, Brent.
Dude, this was awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. We spent a lot of time talking about the stuff that you're currently doing in your life today and really bringing some real scumbags to the surface of the world of fitness. And also, we spent a lot of time talking about fitness and nutrition in general. I really appreciate you coming on the show, dude. I can't thank you enough for doing what you're doing and giving people like me like some sense of relief that there's people out there like you that are fucking calling these bad people out, specifically people in the sexual predator arena.
Hell yeah, man. I try to be a son of a bitch to those people.
Yeah.
Those people aren't afraid of much, but I think they're beginning to feel, we got to be afraid of this. Like, I hope he doesn't look into me. I know there's a lot of people in the fitness world that departed it because I came into it. Because they're like, I got some shit and I don't want to be here anymore. Profiles I've watched where you stopped posting. That's interesting. You just disappeared. That's crazy. I wonder why.
You're doing a service, man. You really are. So I appreciate it, brother. Where can people find you?
I'm at Goob_U2 on the Instagram, and that's the only profile I'm on, only platform. I have a TikTok, but it's bullshit. I use it to go scroll, and that's that.
And if people want to coach with you?
My website is goobutraining.com.
Awesome, dude. You're the man.
Thanks,
appreciate you. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you loved this podcast, here's what I'm going to ask you to do for me. Share it with a friend. Share it with a family member. Share it with someone who you think would get value from it. And then if you really love this podcast and love me, write a review. Write a nice review. Give me a 5-star rating if you're feeling super peppy. And then go over to creatureshabit.com and pick up some Meal 1 or some Nightcap. It would mean the world to me. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Without you, I am not me. Until the next one, peace.